Alright everyone, it is Dokkan time, and today we are going to be doing a how to build video for the newly EZA'd TEQ Kale. So, TEQ Kale has received her EZA from literally, I don't think it's even been that long. She got her awakening back in 2024 and she already has received her EZA merely a year later. Pretty quick. World Tournament units, though, have been pretty much being pushed forward. I would like to note right away that, unfortunately, EZAing as a World Tournament unit means that this is as good as the unit is ever going to get. Super EZA is not currently, at the time of recording, a possible thing for this unit, so do build her as you so wish, because she will not get any better than how she is now. But before I really get too far into it, my name is Saiyan. For those who have never been to my channel before, I make how to build videos for Dokkan battle characters, and I make Dragonball videos on when I can. So, if that sounds good to you, please do hit the like and subscribe button. It helps me out quite a bit. And let's just go ahead and jump right in. So, with how my build videos go, I go through the breakdown, the defense numbers, build suggestions, and then roll tips. I will have everything rolling on the right side of the screen. As you can see, you can look at those at your leisure, and I will eventually break down to those slides at their appropriate times. Timestamps in the comments, and let's just get going. So, as far as 200% leader options, if you watch the Khalifa video, this is going to look very similar, if not the exact same virtually. There is going to be plenty of leader options for her. I think she'll be on quite a few, but the thing here is that I do feel like she's basically going to want to stay wherever Khalifa is. And Khalifa is pretty much trapped to specifically a couple teams, being Universe 6 teams and Peppy Gals. So primarily, I would say just stick to the LR Physical Kale Khalifa and then the Intelligence Golden Week hit. I think those are her primary homes. It's not that you probably couldn't take her into other areas, but because of her restrictions, I do feel like she has to stick with Kale, and Khalifa has to stick. Kale has to stick with Khalifa. Now, moving on to leader skills. Super Tech type, Ki +3 HP attack and defense of 120. Her super attack is greatly stacking attack, which is a 50% boost. She does stack defense, but only at 20%, and she lowers the enemy's defense by 50%. Now, her basic effects of attack and defense of 260%. She supports Universe 6 or Peppy Gals category allies by Ki +2 and attack and defense of 40%. Her Pure Saiyan's allies will also get an attack and defense of 20%. As far as I'm aware, this should double up. So potentially Universe 6 Peppy Gals with Pure Saiyan categories also should be getting an extra 20% attack and defense, so that should be a 60% support as she should be viewed. Now, when there is an ally whose name includes Khalifa on the team, defense plus 160% and 70% chance to dodge and launches an additional super attack. Now, when there is an ally whose name includes Khalifa attacking in the same turn, she automatically is guarding. Now, for one turn from the character's entry turn, she launches an additional super attack, and when attacking with 12 or more Ki attack and defense of 120, and after performing 6 or more attacks in battle, launches an additional attack that has a 70% chance of becoming a super attack. So from what we can see here, basically she has her initial super, a free additional, and then a 70% chance here. I'm not counting the first turn one, as it is entirely possible that she won't even get to attack or get that additional off. It is nice to see into the the situations that you could potentially get that to go off, along with her hidden potential. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, she'll never actually be able to penta, but she'll be able to quad super. So it is nice. The only thing that sucks is that getting 6 or more attacks. Now, 6 or more attacks here is pretty nice. It does mean that she only needs to get just normal additionals off. Doesn't have to be a super for this to count. So this is nice to see right here. It's just, you're still going to be waiting quite a few turns. So you'll have your initial super and then this one going off. And then this go off on the first turn, potentially, if you don't kill the enemy. You probably won't. Her damage is actually pretty low, I would have to say. So you could already hit this 6 or more attacks by her next appearance, which could be literally turn 3 or turn 4 or turn 5. Anyways, so Link skills are Saiyan Lineage, Saiyan Warriors, Battlefield Diva, Solid Sport, Warriors Universe 6, Turn of Power, Shattering the Limit, and then she's on your standard kind of bond of friendship, tournament participants, super bosses. Why is she on super boss? That's weird that she's on super boss. I guess it's because she's part of the Universal Survival Saga. So every super based unit in there is technically a super boss, I guess. But anyways, her primary linking partners are just going to be straight up Khalifas, if that wasn't apparent. And then of course the TEQ Kale and Khalifas will also be her best link partner. It's pretty self-explanatory when it comes down to Kale and Khalifa units. They need to pair with each other. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and look at her defense numbers. All right, so these defense numbers are complements of Halvard. So with a Khalifa ally, you're looking at 1 million defense on the free additional. On the triple, you'll be at 1.2. I'm not going to really count the hidden potential 1.3, but turn 1, that could potentially happen, which is nice. Pretty decent look so far. With 8 super attack effects, you can get up to a potential 2 million defense on post super. On a post double super, 2.2. Now, as you can see, her defense basically only climbs about 100k to 200k per additional. It's not very big difference on her additionals going off. It's pretty low, unfortunately. She does only raise her defense by 20%, and that is the reason why it's so low. So really, she does demand the need to have additionals going off. It really is mandatory. Now, just keep in mind, she does have guard, which does help a little bit, but it's not a huge amount. So guard in these cases will definitely help out quite a bit, but you still should be aware of how low her defense can be. Now, with a double active with 8 super attack effects, double active is implying of the LR physical Kale and Khalifa's active skill. You can get up to a start turn defense of 1.1, 2.8 on super, 3 mil on the free additional. Pretty good numbers with the double active, and with 40% support, you get up to the 3.6 mil if you quad super. I mean, she's got pretty good defense numbers. I do feel like there could be several runs where if you don't additional enough, her defense could be too low in certain situations. But this is a unit that is primarily made for specifically Festival of Battle, burst modes, and basically long stacking events, because she's very slow at stacking. I wish she was a little bit faster. You know, a 30% raise on the defense probably would have made a huge difference, and that's why the devs chose not to do it. But I feel like it should have happened, because, like I said, you have your initial, you have your free additional right here. Literally, your first super attack and then this free one is only about 200 to 300k defense per turn. That's not a lot of extra defense. It's really not. 300k defense is not a lot. That means you're only on average getting 600 or 700k defense for 2 appearances. That's a total of 3 turns going by. It's not a lot. Really, it's not. And although I think if you go full additional and then you get this 70% going off quite enough, you know, you could double those numbers potentially, but it's not going to be consistent. It's all going to be very RNG heavy of her defense being at a suitable level. So, off the top of my head, I would not suggest putting her into slot 1 just because of that. She does need to get her defense off, but I mean, if you're aware of what's coming in slot 1 and you can afford to put her in slot 1 to make sure she's stacking up quite a bit, that would be the ideal. Her damage, ironically, is not stupidly high. I mean, you get up to, I want to say, like 18 stacks? Yeah, if you get up to a large amount of stacks, I mean a large amount of stacks, like 15 plus. You could probably see her damage scaling around the 20 plus million on each super attack, which at that point could be very good. And I think in festival and longer fights, she can be cooking. But if you didn't notice, there's almost no crit. There is no crit. There's no crit in her entire passive. So she has the issue that the TEQ Kale and Khalifa have, in that they don't have any crit, but they absolutely demand it. Now, unfortunately, because her defense is so low, I have to highly suggest additionals over going into crit, and crit just needs to be an afterthought, unfortunately. I wish it wasn't. By all means, if you have dual equipment orbs that give both additional and crit, try to experiment with those and see if it works well for you. But I think it just takes too long to get to a suitable defense and damage level to really be giving her a focus on crit. I think that's going to be the duality of this unit, is that she wants additionals and crit, but she can't have both. Theoretically, you could choose to just go for a full-on crit build and put a healthy amount of additionals in, but considering how the game is going, considering this is an EZA for a unit that will not be receiving a super EZA in the future, I have to strictly say that this unit needs to be built for what they're going to be good in and not for what you want to use them in necessarily. I think she's going to be good in specific areas that allow her to stack, and I think the additionals are just going to go much farther than the actual crit numbers will. I mean, you got the TEQ Kale and Khalifa that can, make up for that a little bit. So it's a weird balancing act, and it's not going to be the same for everyone. So, but anyways, I am completely rambling on. Let's just go ahead and go into the build suggestions here. So as far as her 55% build goes, because she is a tech type, she starts off with a level 5 crit. I would just suggest for the time being use some EX orbs that you can replace later. Put a level 5 and level 2 orbs onto her to get her natural level 5 crit to a level 12. You might be able to see a little bit extra damage there, but a level 7 additional in this instance I just don't feel would do anything at all whatsoever. Just, it wouldn't be enough. I feel like at 55% you can only do so much. So with a 1-dupe build, however, I feel like you can maybe try to start pushing into the direction of maybe an ideal build of additional. This would be the point at which you can actually kind of diverge and do whatever you kind of want. But at 1-dupe, I still suggest going for additionals, primarily at level 9. Put the last node into crit, of course. And then with a level 5 silver additional and a level 2 additional bronze, you can get that level 9 additional up to a 16, which is a 32% chance to additional attack. I think that's enough to make the big leap of her potentially getting that additional to go off based on her other additionals. Unfortunately, her crit will be very low. The odds of you critting would only be at 16% chance. But, you know, on average, that means probably every other turn you'd see a couple crits at best. Maybe 1 or 2. So, but she needs to get that defense up. Now, moving on to the double dupes and above build. So remember, folks, on your first dupe, you always go bottom right hand path, and your second dupe, you go top left, and then the other ones you do whichever you choose. So at 2 dupes and above, I would suggest you go for full additional still. Level 15 is the max you can get to for her on naturally without any equipment. I would suggest you throw in another level 5 equipment for additional, being able to get that additional all the way up to a 27. 27 is equivalent to a 54% chance to additional. And naturally being at a level 11 crit chance, that would put you at a 22% chance to crit. If you were able to put any dual orbs of additional crit, or maybe you'd want to replace one of these equipment pieces with crit, I wouldn't blame you. She does have built-in crit and that, or a built-in additional, so You technically don't need to. You can just play off of the fact that she has two super attacks guaranteed, and then you have a 70% chance to have that third. So, I mean, you can play off of that entirely if you so wish, but I still think the stacking is just too low for me to warrant that or suggest that. This is the build I will be aiming towards specifically, too. Now, with the build suggestion out of the way, I would say go ahead and look at these roll tips. So, roll tips wise, she's not necessarily a damage dealer. She's not necessarily a tank. She does support a little bit, but she's not really that much of a support. Therefore, I just kind of view her as a Universe 6 unit entirely. If you didn't know, this is the symbol for the Universe 6 universe. She's going to be looking very similar to Khalifa in that she is specifically should be going on to LR Physical Kale Khalifa's team, Int Hit's team, and her partners should just all be variations of Khalifa. Her best slot position is straight up just going to be slot 2. I would love to tell you it should be slot 1, but unless you know the amount of damage that's going to be coming out in slot 1, I would not suggest putting her there. She does need to stack quite a bit, and she does need to be safer in slot 2. Her starter turn defense is not high enough to warrant being put into slot 1 unless you're in a stupidly long fight and you've built up quite a bit. At that point, you can probably switch her back and forth, but I would still suggest her main home being in slot 2. Floating her off is making it so you lose too many stacking potentials, so that is precisely where she should be at almost at all points of time. But anyways, I think that's it. I don't really have much else to say about Kale. I do kind of like Khalifa a little bit better. Khalifa has a primary role and she has a focus, whereas Kale kind of wants to do 2 different things, 3 different things even, all at the same time, and it makes her a little bit wonky to use and to build, which could be the hardest thing that was for me to actually make. I couldn't decide what was best, but because she is EZAing right now, and she will not receive a super EZA in the future, she is as good as she's going to get, and I feel like the only way to suitably use her now and for the foreseeable future is to use her in long form events where she can stack for a long period of time. At the worst case scenario is that she just is a stacking tank unit for long based fights, and then she gets a little bit of damage out every now and again. So, but anyways, guys, let me know how you decided to build this Kale. What teams are you going to run her on? And let me know if you actually managed to get her through Festival of Battle. I'm still trying to get through that freaking stage again. So, anyways, thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you have a good day and a good night.